Special. I'm Nayantara Rai, coming to you from the CarDekho office. We've come here to interview the two co-founders because they managed to raise about $70 million. And joining me are two brothers, the co-founders of CarDekho, Amit and Anurag. Thanks so much for joining us here on Startup Central. Congratulations, brothers. Who's the older one?
I am the older one. Thank you so much.
The younger one? Do you listen to him or are you the boss?
So he's the boss, yeah.
So he bullies you till today?
So we have had very interesting lives. I mean, he's 2 years elder to me, and interestingly, exactly 2 years. Our birth dates fall on the same date, 12th
What are
November.
you saying?
Yeah.
Did you found the company also on your birthday?
No,
not
You
really.
should have done that. Okay, but now jokes apart, Amit, I'll begin with you. $70 million fundraise. I believe your existing investors also participated.
Yes.
What's your valuation? Take us through this entire fundraise.
So I think it's been an interesting one. Now we've got a very strategic player in Penang who has joined the cap table this time. And it's called the Global Voyager Fund, with the name they use, but it's practically Penang. Penang is the largest insurer in China and fifth largest company in Asia. They also own the largest auto portal in China called Auto Home. So it becomes a very strategic kind of investor from our perspective. So we are very excited to have them in this time. Along with them have joined hands with Sunlay, which is the arm of Advent. So we basically are looking forward to how we scale up and have larger players on the cap table as we go on in this journey. So this has been a pretty good fundraise with really key people coming on board, which can help us go IPO and scale our vision further.
Okay.
So
and your valuation?
The valuation we don't speak about, but okay, it's around 700 plus now.
700 plus million dollars.
Yeah.
Okay. So Anurag, tell me something. This when Amit is talking about synergy, is this for insurance, Dekho? The plans you may also have for being an NBFC?
So we are the only player who's doing a full stack ecosystem play in the auto sector. So there is this.
By the way, everyone says that.
So we are really genuinely full stack in terms of real revenues, real businesses. So insurance, Dekho, the NBFC we are filing, we already have a platform where we are lending for used cars. Then there is the OEM business, there is a new car dealer business. New cars is already profitable for us, and used car is where we are tanking up all the fundraisers that we are doing. The auctions business is something that we are betting on heavily. So overall, from a ecosystem play, we are, I think, poised to kind of scale the $1 billion mark next year.
Okay. And when you get these investors on board, because you also have overseas ambitions, right? And you have gone overseas. Is China one of them, or is that just too tough a market to crack?
No, China is not in our plans at all. We are more focused on Southeast Asia right now. We are in Indonesia already. We have gone to Philippines now. We have acquired a company in Philippines called Car Moody, which was Rocket Internet company earlier. So we have acquired that. In Philippines now we have a physical team. Indonesia we have a physical team. So our overseas headcount now is over 300 people.
But so this has primarily been, like I said, for the financial services play, the strategic investors that you've got on board.
Not really. It's primarily for owning the transaction. It's not for financial purpose. We basically are getting into buying and selling of vehicles now, if you see, right? So all these fundraisers.
Isn't that your primary business, your core business, and how you started?
So we were earlier a research platform which was facilitating transactions. Now we are
for generating leads.
Yeah.
Yes. Now we are starting to own the transactions,
Okay.
which is where fundamental shift in terms of how we operate and how we make money on the business now.
So you take a brokerage.
Yeah. We take a brokerage in the middle.
Okay. Is this an?
But it goes from our balance sheet. Understand that we buy from our balance sheet, and then it is on our
because
balance
that is
sheet.
a problem. Now you're going to have inventory, which you didn't have earlier.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. It's a trickier business now. Then you have turnaround time. You have to rotate the inventory faster, and basically run a practical consumer experience. Earlier it was a website.
Yeah.
Now you have a retail store. You have to manage the consumer experience at the retail store, which is very different than managing it on a website. So now the game and dimensions have changed. Our purpose that we've defined is that personal mobility for all in India. Let's make easier for people to own cars and make it easy for them to have a own life cycle with the car. That's what we're basically trying to do. So imagine a new world where you can actually go buy a car sipping a coffee. You need finance, facilitate that. You need insurance to make sure. So the stack had to be done for that reason.
Correct. So when you hold inventory, it's obviously takes if you're not able to sell the inventory, you're starting the business. Have you started it? What's the experience been like already?
So we're
How many cars or vehicles have you sold?
So we are already doing about 3,000 vehicles a month now, and growing fast. It's like only a 10-month-old business, which is every month we're kind of getting a positive build up on the momentum. We're present in about 9-10 cities, and we have both offline stores as well as new car dealer counters where we are also doing trade-in guarantees of the vehicles with certain OEM manufacturers that we have partnerships with.
So tell me, Amit, I will let you know that I interviewed Droom, and they said, "What slowdown? We are growing exponentially." Do you feel the same way, that there is no auto slowdown, at least in the resale market?
In the used car market, we are not seeing that much of a slowdown for sure. There is some, but not to that extent in new cars. So we are pretty bullish about used cars. Secondly, I think whenever you talk to players like Droom or us or anybody for that matter, since we have touched only the tip of the iceberg, we'll always be expanding heavily and exponentially. So don't treat our growth as a market growth ever.
So the offline sector might be facing a slowdown, but the digital part of it is kind of still increasing the share.
But is the digital part making up the delta that we are seeing as the slowdown? Is that the delta?
Actually, we are just penetrating from offline world to online world, and there's a shift happening from offline transaction to online transaction. Dealers earlier would buy cars on themselves, right? An online platform helps them, procure cars now. So the buying need has shifted from a offline world to online world, and it has made the dealer's life easier. That's why he's buying cars from us.
Okay.
Otherwise, he would have to go personally, physically inspect 10 vehicles, buy one, negotiate 10, and buy one.
So aren't you doing that?
So we are doing it online now, right? We are.
So my point is that when you have a CarDekho brand, which is again the resale brand, people will go by what your valuation is, right? Or what a car is. थोड़ा तो tricky होता है, people spruce up a car, make it look better, like an engine में
We
कुछ
have a
problem,
reverse bidding
brake
engine.
में problem.
We have a reverse auction, right? We don't buy on our own bid. We basically take the car live for dealers to bid. Dealers bid. Best bid is offered to the consumer. That's how it works. If we miss the inspection, like you rightly said, then the loss is ours. Because dealer would come and say, you misinspected the vehicle, and there's a learning cost, obviously, which we are paying, of course. I'm not saying we are 100% there yet.
Okay.
In many cases, we do miss inspections, but there's a large team we have set up for inspection itself, and it's under training.
So Anurag, tell me, while there may be some slowdown, companies like CarDekho, Droom, etc. are growing. That's, I think, obvious, and people are putting in money, which also shows that, right? But in this slowdown, or a slower down, or whatever you want to call it, which are the cars, or vehicles, or brands that are outperforming, that are in the fast lane or stay in the top gear?
So broadly, I think if you go by numbers, all kind of manufacturers are facing a heat in the middle of things. But the bread and butter stock, top and barrel like Marutis and Hyundais, their overall volumes were so high that the numbers, absolute numbers are still okay, but the negative dip is kind of relatively higher for them. So the new vehicles which have been launched, like especially in the SUV segment, the Kia Seltos and the MG Hector, these new entrants are kind of having huge demand, and their cars are on waiting. So depending on the type of strategy, market launch strategy and vehicle that you are having in the market, you can still kind of shy away from the recession by offering a good product in the consumer segment.
From the used market segment, the question we were really asking was, the Maruti still dominates the inventory that we buy, and the models that have sold well are the ones we get well, like all your Wagonars and Swifts and Balenos and Altos. They will dominate our consumers who get the car to sell to us. In all fairness, the market share that you see is exactly representative of what we get as consumers.
It's a reflection of which cars got sold 4 years back. So
Yeah.
It's a mirror.
Right, obviously, because that's what's in the market, right? That's your marketplace at the moment. So tell me something. You told me in the first answer that your valuation is about $700 million. You also talked about an initial public offering. When is this IPO going to hit? If it's going to be the Lal Street or which market?
So
what are you planning?
it's too early or premature for me to comment on when we do IPO. It's completely dependent on the phase of the organization. And right now we are in a massive growth phase, where we will list and at what parameters we list is something that I would not like to kind of comment on today, because that's not yet decided, let's be honest. Tentatively, we keep in mind that 2023 is when we want to do IPO, but that goalpost can shift easily given our growth rates and given our internal.
Because right now the markets are at highs, right? Why do you want to miss that?
It's not about riding a high wave. It's more about building a sustainable business and building a profitable one, which can last for next 100 years, right? So our plan should be, when we go IPO, should be strong enough that we have a clear growth engine for next 10 years, and we are building a sustainable business. It's not about trying to ride a high wave. It's about actually building a great business.
And we have been in the business for about 11, 12 years now. The fundamental DNA of the company is to build a sustainable business and not chase valuations.
Okay.
So from that
Are you
perspective,
profitable?
So we in new cars we are profitable. Used cars is still in investment mode because we are in
10 months old.
They're
No, used car is not 10 months.
profit.
It's more than 5 years old. But the auction business in used cars is 10 months old.
Okay.
There are pockets of profit, there are pockets of investment.
How profitable are you? If I were to look at an enterprise value, how profitable are you?
In new cars,
No, in your business, total, your parent company, all your businesses together, are you
we
profitable?
would be losing money, right? Because we are in massive investment mode. All the brand money that you TV ads you see are going to be amortized for next 10 years, right? So that's the investment we are making to build a stronger brand in the country. And of course, we are not profitable at a group level, but there are businesses that have become massively profitable, like new cars is quite profitable. And then you have other businesses in investment mode. So that's how I would look at it.
Okay.
Our insurance business has reached break even now.
Okay.
But we focus a lot on unit economics. So the
I know, all startups like to do that.
but
Some
we
of
don't
us
lose a
who
lot.
come from the old economy, now tracking the new economy,
So we
still
don't-
believe in the group level economics.
So we don't lose a lot to build what we have built so far, basically.
Okay.
So our total fundraise size is still about $250 million, and most of it is still in the bank, frankly.
Okay.
So from that perspective, the value to valuation ratio of the fundraise is one of the best in the countries.
How important is it for a startup to ensure that existing investors also put in money? You know, because you guys have done it, so I wanted to ask you this, that because that will also show the entire financial community that existing stakeholders are reposing faith.
So it's a validation of what you're doing and that people believe in you. So from that perspective, the company has been doing well, and we have got a great cap table of investors who have been putting in money consistently in each round when new people have joined. So from that perspective, it's a good validation of what you're doing. From our perspective, even the top banks in the country, HDFC and Axis, have put in money into the company. So the traditionally risky capital bolte hain, but they would have seen something which is kind of let them
Vapas
be
aa
exposed
gaye,
to.
which is the biggest validation. Right?
In all fairness, we are happy that current investors, put in money. But let's be fair to the investors who have been on the cap table since the beginning. As we move on in the journey, they may decide not to, because every fund has an appetite and a rollover period.
Some are early stage investors.
Exactly,
as
that's what I'm
well,
trying to say.
right?
So it's not a one cut fit all kind of a thing that everybody should. We are cognizant that we have taken up investor money, and it's our moral responsibility to return that with great return. And that's what we are focused on. We are so happy that the initial ones still believe in us, like Sequoia did a pro rata. They were the first round. They led the growth round last time, and now they did pro rata this time. Imagine the belief in the company and the growth plans of the company, that the first investor still does what it does. That's beautiful.
What is both your shareholding at now?
That should not be revealed on this platform.
But do your investors let you stay in the driver's seat?
Yeah, they do.
They let you stay in the driver's seat. Is that something which would be a deal breaker otherwise? Would that otherwise be a deal breaker?
Look, in the position we are in, we actually raised money much later.
Did you raise money because you wanted to raise money, because you were being chased and you said, chalo, we can grow?
Not really.
It's not that. We have been chased. CarDekho started in 2008, and from 2010 onwards, we had like lots of offers on the table for picking up money from VCs. But it was not until 2013 November, like end of 2013, that we picked up our first Series A check. Till that point, the company was held between the two of us. So we were profitable company, like group level pe profitable the till that point of time. And
But
post
sapna
that-
bhi itna bada nahi tha, no?
So the money changed the dreams, like how big you can get. The primary reason of picking up money in 2013 was that we realized how big it can be.
So how big can it be? Do you have like an Excel sheet? You got it together?
Yeah, we do, of
How
course.
big can it be?
It can easily be a $10 billion company that we are building.
10 billion.
Yeah, that's what we believe.
So 10 times more, because you're not a billion yet, so over 10.
That's
You have
a
a
growth rate.
timeline.
This is the India business. International aspirations can take it much
So
further.
$10 billion valuation only for the India business, publicly listed.
If everything,
क्या बात कर रहे हो,
if we
boss?
if we do everything in the ecosystem, if we do everything.
So,
If you do everything.
Look, if you were to ask a fair call, I think over a period of next 5 years, getting towards 3 billion should not be too difficult. If you talk about a 10-year range, getting to a 10 also should not be very difficult.
Just in India?
Yeah.
Car penetration is still very low in India. I mean, if it kind of even touches 30% of the developed markets, it's going to be a huge number from an economy standpoint.
Are you looking at inorganic growth? You've done it in Indonesia, I'm talking about India.
So look, finally depends on the asset. We are never close to it. We are always open to
कोई
it.
offer है?
No, not really.
नहीं है. Now, you know,
And
when they
even
talk
if it
about...
was
We have
there,
done
I
that
would
in the
not have
journey so
spoken
far.
I
about
you
it.
would have told me, you can say I can look
We have
at
done
it.
that a lot in the journey that we have had.
Yeah,
so
you've
far.
done that, that's what I'm saying. Because now it will be the big boys that you'll have to acquire to go up the pecking order.
I think as long as it makes sense for the ecosystem, we'll be quite open
But
to
for
it.
insurance business, you don't want to look at just picking up and scaling up.
We have scaled up significantly, and we may want to pick up if something comes on table which is good enough for us to have a synergy on.
Now even postmen and grievance savers are allowed to sell insurance products. I don't know if you saw the news item.
So look, finally I would say we are quite open to such transactions, and when we get them, we evaluate them very seriously.
What about the NBFC? When you're filing for...
We have already filed for it. We are waiting for the license to arrive. Once it comes, we'll start seeing action there. We are hoping that it should come by January.
You're hoping for the NBFC license in January.
Yeah.
Have you done the fundraise for... Like you can't raise capital for the NBFC till then, right?
No, we can't independently raise. Initially, the plan is to fund it from the parent money. We have got enough in the bank right now.
How much will be your...
In
I'm trying to understand also because
We'll be-
NBFCs are
We'll
hot.
do a budgeting once we kind of have the license in place.
And this will be for your consumers on the platform of CarDekho who want to buy vehicles, whether they're dealers or
It will be
individual.
for both dealers as well as consumers. We are also planning to get into inventory funding of used car dealers, right? The NBFC will play a pivotal role there. We'll also try to have a very differentiated experience of like instant loans for consumers. So on bikes and cars both. We are actually working on these areas to get the NBFC done.
When you want to do instant loans for bikes and cars, it's a great concept. But there are pros and there are cons.
Yeah.
The cons, of course, are that you may give money to those who are not credit worthy. How will you do? Because you know the entire NBFC problem. That in light of that, how
The
will you?
NBFC has to take a call on what market share you want to grab. So if we decide to take a lower risk, in which initially we would, because we would be in learning phase, our underwriting would be a little strict, which means that we'll first learn from our prime customers and observe the book rolling. We are in no hurry of building a fast book.
Okay.
We'll be building it slowly but stably and sustainably. So, NPA
So we
would be
already have a
very-
marketplace where we kind of originate loans for our banking partners, and there are around 17-18 banks and NBFCs listed on that platform where we kind of match these consumers to kind of get their
So you
cars
will
funded.
use
We'll be
their
one of
due
them.
diligence.
So
So
we,
they-
we have already evaluated over 1 lakh files in life, right? Already in last 3 years. So we have got quite a good knowledge of what happens, what are the underwriting norms, rules, which kind of customer, what kind of interest rates, etc. We learned a lot from our own underwriting over past 3 years, and that is what we are using in our technology. So it's a technology-driven solution.
It's the AI-driven creditworthiness of the guy, because we have been doing this for 3-4 years as a marketplace. So once we have that,
But that will be for your existing database. Now you need to grow the market, or you want new consumers
So the
also.
consumers are going to come of similar cohorts. So when you see a customer, it will match the 1 lakh customer in a cohort. Like this consumer will match these 5,000 people, and we know what happened to them, which bank lended them,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
was the underwriting policy there, right? So we have built an engine based on that. We'll be using that. So we are not saying we're going to lend to everybody. All 100 we have lended to so far, right? We'll be only lending to 15% of them, so that the risk appetite has to be controlled
That's
to
it.
start with. That's exactly. We are not going
managing
to lend
this
to
is the
everybody.
biggest thing in this business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean that can lead to the downfall as well, right?
Obviously.
Because a few bad calls in a hurry to scale up, and before you know it,
This has to be watched, monitored, and then grown in a phased manner, not like अचानक से नहीं हो पाएगा सब कुछ.
as an outsiders, first, tell me if I'm wrong. He's more risk averse than you.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm more fundamentalist, I think. He drives growth, I kind of bring stability.
You bring the rationality.
I think we complement each other that way.
Yin yang.
Yeah. I'm a very aggressive guy and try to undertake a lot.
Because I've
of
noticed,
aggressive-
like he always says, but 1 second, I noticed that in the interview. So I don't know if I was right, so I said I had to ask.
I think you're
I
right.
think you got it.
I got it right, yeah. And the younger one is the most siana one.
Yeah, that always happens.
Okay.
They get pampered a lot more, I think.
I'm the older one, I disagree. But having said that, I want to also ask you that we're talking at a time, when everybody says the millennials don't want to own a car, the government, while talking about a slowdown, says, oh, Uber, Ola, shared mobility is coming up in a big way. Are you conscious of this? If people don't want to be married to their cars going forward, what is it going to mean for your business?
So
I mean, from an ecosystem play, we could love that. I mean, we could have an offering where you could not own a car, but the CarDekho platform can own all cars. So the future could be kind of still a lot more wider than what you think from an owning perspective.
We'll be quite open to starting that model once it has some traction.
Okay.
We have money in the bank to start any model, let's be honest about it. We are just
How much money do you have in the bank?
over 1,000 crore now.
You have 1,000 crore in the bank. And the group level, what are your sales?
We'll be doing around a 5
Revenue basically, I'm
So
asking.
we don't do GMVs, okay, in the group. We talk about commissions. Commission income is what we earn. So if we sell a car for say 3 lakh and the commission is 2%, we only count 6,000 as revenue. So whenever I speak a revenue number, it's actual real revenue. So we do around a 450 crore plus of revenue today in commissions, which means GMV of billions. I don't even track that. We are tracking only our real
Net
revenue.
commissions to us.
1,000 crore in the bank, as you would basically trying to tell me the world is an oyster. You can do literally anything you want.
Yeah.
You have figured out a few business models. But now I want to ask you, and I'm sure you track this, whatever's happening in China, San Francisco, all of that. What is the future of mobility in India? And how prepared are you to address it? And are you going to try and pioneer those trends here? Or do you think we'll have India-specific trends, and then what could they be?
Look, what we believe is the market is not going to shift day 1 to day 2 something else, right? It's going to be a progression. So you will start seeing, all these shared mobility like personal car as a service will start catching up slowly in millennials, and which I am completely believer of, because I know so many millennials personally. To say confidently, this cohort would not own cars. There's a cohort that would still own cars, and the shift would be gradual. It won't be, one day it happened. Electric vehicles coming in also would have a big impact, as you see from an ecosystem perspective, because now the after sales money is gone. There are 20 moving parts. So owning that as a service and giving it back is easier. A new world may have, you go, cars are standing right there, you can just punch in card, drive a car, leave it there. So you never actually own a car, right? It becomes more cost efficient. In China sector, the trends are already there. The vehicles are actually, you go to the airport, you can actually just show a card opens up, you are charged by the hour you drove for, and you just leave it at the nearest place you parked, right? And some other consumer picks it up from there and goes, right?
Yeah.
That will happen. So I am pretty sure that these kind of trends are going to emerge in India heavily, but over a period of time. So you'll have to actually mix and match all business lines. You can't just say that, as CarDekho we won't do this. The financial NBFC we have formed is actually for a purpose, to launch these financial products which banks may not be even ready with, in terms of supporting them at that point. Our NBFC can start that trend. So there'll be requirements of, these are all financial products.
Essentially, car as a service is a financial product if you think of it. So it's like
anything as a service is a financial product, because somebody has to underwrite the product, and that is money is recovered in an EMI. Think of it like that. Your only NBFC holding license and underwriting that yourself can only help that. And that's the primary reason for doing
NBFC
that.
is going to pioneer the subscription model for cars.
Yes,
in the
it
new
will.
year.
Is that the biggest priority of the company today? No, not at all. We are watching the trends closely and seeing other players in the market scale up. So once we see a significant substantial number, like even a couple of percent points, it's reaching, that's when we begin. There's a lot to do in the current business.
It's a function of when you push the pedal on that model, when you believe that the opportunity is time, the timing is right. So it has to be.
But aren't you already seeing trends where people want to change their cars far more often? Therefore, they're not willing to pay. You've got that Supreme Court verdict. The government is trying to redefine depreciation. So like it's all.
Yeah, so we have competition in the market on that. There are players in the market who are already doing subscription. Nobody is yet scaled up to a point where I can confidently say, this is going to happen.
It's also coming primarily from the dealers or the OEMs.
Correct. So let's be fair. Once the market is catching up, while we are hearing this, it's not in action yet. So we would want somebody to, kind of demonstrate that in a small scale even, where we see it happening, and you'll see us, taking a much larger bet on that.
Okay. So now tell me something. You both started out of a garage in Jaipur.
Yeah.
He started or you started?
Both of us started
The
together.
same day we sat together in the same
How
garage.
you said you founded the company and you both have the same birthday.
Yeah.
How did the idea happen? Whose idea was it?
CarDekho or starting a company?
Started the company and CarDekho.
So starting a company happened much before CarDekho. It was
Not much, I mean 8 months before.
a year almost.
Year almost. Yeah.
So idea to start a company was obviously joined. We both basically decided to start the company. CarDekho came from an auto expo visit that we had, both of us together. We saw cars and could not find the information online. So we took the brochures in our booth of the car and published them online. That was the first step to start CarDekho.
You took a photograph, scanned them,
Yeah,
put it
yeah.
online.
We did it ourselves at that point. We coded the site
So we have
ourselves.
had very parallel lives to the extent that 2 years apart, same school, we went to same college, IIT Delhi. Then we both were in Texas, US.
You both went to IIT Delhi?
Yes.
You both got in like general quota?
Yes,
Yeah,
obviously.
What?
Come on. Then
Why you-
we both were in Texas. I was in Dallas. He was in Austin. Then Bangalore. We both were together, staying in the same house. Then we came back to Jaipur for starting this company up.
Do you still live together?
We joined family.
It's a joint family.
You both fight?
Not
lot.
really.
A lot.
Not really.
We had a fight on this issue only. So you know like when
Healthy fighting.
Healthy fighting. So you know till today, I'm not going to reveal my age, I'm quite old. I fight with my younger sister. My mother is still the arbiter. Who do you both go to who will decide for both of you?
I think
Because you both are in business
it's
together.
between both of us. I think.
I think it's between
One of
both
us agrees.
One has to step down.
Yeah. I
One of
think
us
it's a balance.
Balanced also in who decides to give up on the ego and the fight.
Ego
Because
nahi hai.
sibling fights
So
hoti
there
hai.
is no ego.
No ego?
वो ego sibling fight नहीं है. It's mostly about. So I think from the DNA perspective, we both have the same thought process.
Ah.
To get there, it may have difference in opinion. That's where we kind of challenge each other.
I think objective wise we are quite aligned, right? It's just a way of doing things. We try to usually keep non-overlapping areas in work so that the tussles are lesser,
Okay.
right? We probably collaborate more at a strategic level.
Okay.
Like
and
for-
you have clear functional
Yeah,
areas.
exactly.
Clear boundaries on
And that's what
who does what.
helps avoid, any professional mismanagement.
yeah.
Exactly.
Because when the siblings fight, there can be a really big fight, right?
Correct.
In the startup universe, are there a lot of siblings who work together?
I don't know of many.
When you go for investor meets, do they see that as an advantage?
I
think the
you'll have to
partners
ask them.
splitting up, there's a probability of having that as vis-a-vis brothers. So probably they may. We don't know if they do.
Blood is thicker than water.
Yeah, exactly. I think this should be seen as an advantage.
It should be seen as an advantage. With that, brothers, Jain brothers, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you
us here
so
at
much.
Star Central, and look forward to many more interviews with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nayantara.